Welcome dear students. Today's topic is Principles of Writing for Radio. This topic is meant for the UG journalism second year third semester students. In this topic we will discuss what are the principles of radio. While writing radio is different than the writing for television or newspapers, because television is a audio video form or newspapers are only print form. Print form is we can read, and if any word is a difficult word, we can search in the dictionary and come back and read it again. Whereas coming to the television, where maybe there is a visual, sometimes maybe where there is a no visual, even though we can listen and view. So it takes focus the mind of a listener, but whereas coming to the radio, it is very difficult to write for the radio, because it is only to the ear, means voice only. Once we listen, we could not recall it again, because radio or a television or a newspaper, sometimes the television is also not possible, but in the newspaper it is possible to read it again, but in radio it is not possible. Radios is a system, a style is a conversational style. So we have to keep it in our mind while writing for the radio programs. There is a various kinds of programs, already we have discussed in the earlier class, various talks, radio reports, radio interviews. Each kind of a program has its own type of a writing style. So we will discuss here in this lesson about the various types of lessons, various types of writings for the various types of radio programs. Writing for radio is writing for millions, including every type of people. Maybe they are educated, uneducated, literate, illiterate, young or old, men and women from various sections of the society. Some points to be kept in our mind while writing for the radio. It is a spoken, it is a immediate, it is a person to person. That is why we call it is a conversational style. It is a hard only once, it is a sound only. So these are the elements, these are the principles we have to keep it in our mind while writing for the radio. Conversational style, here I am speaking with my friend, my colleague. So very casual talks. How while writing we have to keep it in this style, because in radio we listen the voice which are very close to us, like who is speaking with us. In case of a radio talk, it is our mind thinks that someone is speaking with us only. So very much like a physical distance, physical, how we are, two people are discussing in about a topic, like that only we have to write a radio script for radio program. Broadcast writing demands a special set of skills and knowledge from the journalist, since it is written to be a read out aloud by the news reader or news presenter, rather than that to read silent by a news reader, newspaper reader or newspaper consumer. The words and sentences used must be such that they are accurate and clear without any ambiguity whatsoever. In case of any a difficult word, so student or a listener who go to the library or who go to the any book section to pick up dictionary and see the definition of that word. That is why we have to use as very familiar words while writing for the radio programs. Radio is a immediate and instant reach medium. The advantage of a radio, it is a immediacy and instant reach. A major news break takes a place. For example, the terrorist attack at a parliament house or at the famous hotel or at railway stations or some places. We read about it in the newspapers only the following day, but in the radio instantly we listen the information. Sometimes it is in a few minutes only, because nowadays we are listening many bulletins in the AM radios. Earlier there is only 1 or 2 billion bulletins in the AM radio, but now we have at least 10 to 6, 6 to 10 bulletins are playing in the radio stations. The radio, on the contrary, it is beams such as developments immediately, or even while they are unfolding. There are we have it is a instant reach. So, that is why while we are writing to the radio program, or maybe it is a news or maybe it is a report, whatever it is, while we have to keep the words which are most familiar to the listener. Another point is radio is a heard only once. See, once we are listening a word, then we could not listen it again. Even though nowadays in a television we have a DTH network where we can have a choice to record it and we can play it and listen it, but there is no choice to the radio listeners. Only once they read, they heard it. The radio has several advantages over the newspaper, but suffers from a major drawback, that is heard only once. While writing we have to keep it in this word, this the element. You switch on the radio and listen to the morning news bulletin, you get up to answer the telephone ring or the doorbell. So, while we are attempting the telephone, while we are open the door, we are we could not listen the sentence, the voice of a radio. So, we are losing that information. By the time you are back, a good slice of the bulletin is over. So, that is why while we have to given, while in the writing we may be repeat important words, important sentence, there is no problem, because radio is a hard ones only. So, that is why while writing we can repeat it sometimes, we have to revise it, we have to conclusion, we have to mention in the conclusion about the what happens in the recent past in our report. Here is a writing for the ear, because television we can see and listen, where in case in a television a image is appears. In a newspapers also we can read and we can see the images, but here in the radio programs it is not possible. So, we have to imagine it, what is the text the voice is saying. So, that is why the words which are to be attract the listener to listen that program, that news, that reel, that magazine, whatever it is. Radio, as you know, is an audio medium where the message is heard, unlike the print medium where it is read at a leisure or once again if greater clarity is required. What you hear, in another words, is very much like being spoken to during a conversation, and one of the basic rules of the spoken word is choosing words that are easily understood and grasped on hearing them just once, because radio program is heard only once. While conversation style, we have to use the language, where language is that is related to the particular area. A colloquial language can use in the radio stations, particularly in FM radio. FM radio they use, because the FM radio's radius is very much low, means that the radius is only some 50 kilometers only. So, which kind of a colloquialist language is using in that particular area, the radio jockey who use that kind of a language, it is possible with the radio stations, whereas it is not possible with the newspapers and televisions. So, conversational style of a writing is a main important element in the writing for the radio programs. Thank you very much, dear learners.